Welcome to Garden Rewards, and if you're new here, my name is Wendy, so welcome to the channel. So as you can see, as I was walking my way up to the shed, I finally got my lawn cut on the shortest setting, and that's because now we're in autumn and today's the 10th of October. There's no need for me to keep my lawn as long as I do in the summer, and when you do a shortcut, you're left with the grass looking a little bit yellowy. So I've applied a bit of bloodfish and bone, which you can do the beginning of October, and I watered it in a little bit because it was a little bit dry the day I did it, and I didn't want the dog licking the bloodfish and bone off the lawn, so I've given it a little sprinkling of water, and it's looking quite green now. So we're in the shed here, so I can show you the bulbs that I'm planting this year, and generally the tulip bulbs are the ones I buy every year because I find they're never as good keeping them to flower year after year. The first year is the best year for me, so that one I will always buy new tulip bulbs. The daffodil bulbs that I've got them from last year, which was Mount Hood, and I got them from Farmer Gracie, and I've got them in the raised bed outside. And I pulled them out the borders, and I didn't keep them in the shed here. I just thought I'll put them in the raised bed and just see how they are in there. And I was going to pull some of them out to plant in the borders. I've since had a rethink of it, and I think they would look nice just staying where they are in the raised bed. And it's the tulip bulbs that I'm planting around the borders in the garden. Also in the raised bed, I've got some miniature daffodils, which are called minnow, and they are quite a yellowy variety. I've bought some newer ones, and they're a paler variety, which I really like the best out of the two. I still think they're both nice anyway, but the paler variety is the ones I like. So I'm going to keep the daffodils in the raised bed, and I'll give you a little look at those because I did dig some of the soil away just to have a look before I thought about pulling them up. And just second thoughts, I just thought leave them where they are. I think it'll look a nice display in the raised bed, and I'll give you a little look at that in a minute. So this is the first variety of daffodils. These are called Vanille Coupe. Very peony like. I think they look very beautiful. They're tall daffodils. They've got 8 bulbs in the pack, which look really lovely, and I just adore this type of flower on the tulips. I think they look really lovely. These are the next variety. These are another tall tulip, Mount Tacoma. Love the blooms on these, and the bulbs look really healthy as well. 10 bulbs in a pack of these, and I think they look absolutely stunning. This variety of daffodil, I think I might have shown you in a previous video. These are called Novi Sun, another tall daffodil with bright yellow flowers. Not so many in a pack of those. I think there's 6 bulbs in a pack, but they still look lovely, and I think it'll look a nice collection of tulips when they're planted in the borders and they come into flower in spring. And these are the beautiful dwarf daffodils, and they're called Minnow, and these have got 10 in a pack, look really healthy, and I grow these every year, which I have done for the last 5 years. They're that good. The flowers are so tiny, they're no bigger than probably your thumbnail, but they grow in clusters of flowers, well worth planting in containers and pots, even mixing them with other daffodils and other spring bulbs as well. But they're well worth having. They're absolutely beautiful. And I also couldn't resist picking up these anemones, and I'm not planting them today because I believe you've got to soak them for 24 hours before you plant them, and these will be going in my garden border in the front garden. So we've just come outside to where the raised bed is. I've got the hydrangeas in here and the nemesia, and this is where I planted some of the bulbs last year. And as you can see, that's the Mount Hood bulb there, which is just growing. I've got some minnows in here as well, minnow daffodils. And I just thought leave them where they are. I think it's going to all look really lovely in this raised bed. And over here as well, still some of the Mount Hood daffodil bulbs here. I think there's going to be a lovely show of flowers here. And I think it's wise just to keep them where they are. So I've managed to find the stick that I used to make the holes for the bulbs, which is an old wooden spade handle, and I've cut a point on the end. And I know when you buy your bulbs, it says on the packet how deep to plant them. But as a rule of thumb for me, this is the daffodil bulb. I plant them 4 times the height of the bulb deep, and this is the minnow bulb, and I do 4 times the height of that bulb deep. So it's just something at the back of your mind of just a gauge of how deep to do them. So the smaller the bulb, you do them the height of that bulb deep 4 times, if that makes sense, and that works easy for me. Generally, sometimes people don't know how deep to plant them, and that's just a visual for me of if it's that high, I'll do it that deep 4 times, and that's easier for me to remember. The other thing you can do is, if you've got your stick to make the holes for your bulbs, you can either draw a line on your stick, which is what I have done in previous years, or you can cut a notch, and that way when you put your stick in the hole, you know how deep to do it, and that's another way of planting them. And what you can do is, as I've done here, is open each variety into a bowl, which is easier than opening up the individual packets as you go along. You can just put your hand in the bowl and grab them out. I've left the minnow in their packets because I'll be planting them last, but I think it's easier to do it this way. And I've also brought my hand trowel out as well, because I think if I'm planting them in clusters, I may dig a hole that's big enough for all the bulbs to go in one go as well. And always plant them with the pointy side up as well. So we're going to end the video at the house here, because I've brought the anemone in because I've got to soak them for 24 hours before I can plant them. I'm doing that tomorrow. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. Have a lovely week, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.